Well, welcome back, my friends, to another rousing rendition of Choir Boys Outdoors. Now, listen, JR, over these past 4 or 5 years, has sent box after box after box of knives, and they are always kick ass. He's introduced me to a lot of brands, and this particular knife's no different. This is made by Smith and Sons. Now, I don't know much about the brand. I really don't. The maker, I'm sorry, Smith & Sons USA. It is in CPM 3V. JR loves 3V. And my Micarta handle scales. Now, here's the deal. I know that we're working on the narration. Some we narrate, some we kind of let ride. I'm going to narrate a good bit of this one, only because Kirk and I hadn't seen each other in a week, and we talking back and forth. There might be quite a bit of profanity in the background, and I honestly don't want to throw that at y'all. It doesn't help when Kirk's the cameraman and we're going at it. So I'll narrate this one. We'll back off a little on the next one. Plus, there's a couple of things that I wanted to cover about this knife. I got an old school vibe from it, and I don't mean like 60s or 70s vibe. I'm talking about old school, almost butcher knife type feel, but in an amazing way. I like the old butcher knives my grandparents had. They just had a really good feel to them. Some of the old school stuff, you know, the old carbon steel and the wood handles and all that. And though this is different steel and different handle material, it's definitely that feel. Does that make sense? Like, remember when you was a kid and you were at your grandparents' house or at your dad's house or wherever the situation may be, and they had some of those old school butcher knives that just felt good in hand. That's the way this knife feels. It's the way it's shaped in large part. It's kind of a stonewash finish. I was looking at it. It does have a toothy edge, and that served it well. The pommel is well rounded. I love that. Now, the lanyard came on it, and actually for doing some stabbing, the lanyard came in handy. I used it kind of as a thumb lanyard, and this one with its size is more of a pinky lanyard. Those are made specifically, obviously, for the pinky if you're going to stab for the thumb. If I'm going to use a lanyard, I prefer that style. I just do. Stabbed pretty good. Not a bad stabber at all. Like I said, it does have... Now, if you can imagine a butcher knife, and you'll see, I'll show you some good looks at the knife. That's just the vibe I get, and I'm sorry to keep mentioning it, but as I'm holding it, as we're doing the review, and as I'm holding it, it has a nostalgic feel to it. Now, the handle composition, the ergos on the handle are amazing. It's got a nice guard right before the blade. It does have a sharpening choil. We're going to do the specs here in 1 second. Just bear with me. I noticed right off the rip its sharpness. Now, JR does it one of two ways. A lot of times he'll buy knives and send them to me before he ever uses them. Sometimes he'll have some knives that he'll send that he's used, that he's honed up. So I'm not sure if this is his edge or if this is factory edge. Whose ever edge it is, it's sharp as shit. And for those of you who are kind of new to the channel, I personally prefer a more toothy edge for these reviews, demonstrations, whatever you want to call it. And when I go camping, I just like a toothier edge. The polished edges are beautiful, and I appreciate those, and I have a certain group of knives that have those on it, and they're awesome, right? But for bushcraft, for everyday tasks, for camping, for hunting, for fishing, I just prefer a toothier edge. Now, The shape of this knife, you wouldn't think it would be a great stabber. Now, obviously, most knives will stab. That's not at all what I'm saying. But I'm talking about a great stabber. This knife actually did really well. I thought it did very, very well, to be honest with you. It's got a shape, I think, that would be conducive for some skinning, some caping, things like that, food prep. Let's do specs, because it's got some oddities I want to talk to you about. Nothing in a bad way. So we've got 3V steel, micarta handle skills. When we're looking at the material thickness or the blade stock, it's just, it looks like it's right at an eighth. If anything, it's over an eighth, between an eighth and 3/16. Overall length on this knife, I've got, and we're going from tip to pommel, bottom of the pommel, I've got 9 1/4 inches. I'm reading right at about a 4 5/8 blade length with a 4.5 inch cutting edge. Again, it does have a sharpening choil. Nice little guard there. Blade width, the widest point of this blade is right at 1 1/8 inches, but it's deceptive. It looks, or the height of the blade, it looks deceptive. It looks taller than what it is. Just a great little knife. JR, put in the comments, man, where you got this. JR does a lot on DLT trading, and when he sends paperwork and things, that's typically where it comes from. And of course, I'm at work today and didn't bring the paperwork, but really, for this one, you don't really need it. Now, the inner grip, which I feel like is the most important part, is one of those that's deceptive. The inner grip, where your knuckles actually rest, is right at, let's see, it's right at 3, let's go 3 3/4. But when you add the pommel, which is rounded, it's right at 4 1/4. So really, truly, honestly, guys, any hand on the planet can hold this knife, even if you need to drop a pinky off of, which I don't think most would, but if you did, it wouldn't matter. The handle thickness, let's look at that. The handle thickness at its thickest point is right at, let's see, looks like it's 5/8. No, 7/8. So the handle at its thickest point is 7/8. It goes down and flares out at the bottom. So you've got good grip, good control. It makes some wicked curls there. Now, let me say this. Typically, I'll start fires and do things like that. This knife does have, the edge is not a hard 90-degree edge. The potential's there to put it there, but it's not like a full sharp 90-degree edge. Again, it wouldn't take much to get it, and you can strike a ferro rod with it. I had some difficulty, so instead of just fighting with it, I left that part out. What I would say is this: if it was mine, I would simply take a file and go across the back, I don't know, about a 1/2 inch up from the back of the blade, up the blade, and make me a nice sharp 90. Other than that, I mean, I've said this before, I'll say it again. If I really needed to start a fire, I would just use the edge if I needed to in an emergency situation, because I can sharpen a knife, and certainly there wouldn't be that much damage to begin with. Overall, I love the knife. I really do. I don't know enough about Smith & Sons to really delve into the company or their business practices or their consistent quality. I can only speak to what's in my hand, and what's in my hand is a keeper. Would I carry it? Yeah, I really like this one. Kirk liked this one a lot too. Overall, made in the USA, really comfortable in hand, came sharp, very functional, and you can see with all the stuff we cut, it just really handled. It took on everything like a champ. I loved it. listen, guys, there was a time in this country where 22 veterans a day took their own lives. Now, stats are everywhere. We're coming off the weekend. Typically, the weekend can be higher. That's why here on this channel, we focus on the number 0. Anything over 0 is simply unacceptable. Guys, I back the blue. Now, I always say that that's not popular. We live in a day and age where the media blasts them. And listen, let's be real. Not every cop's good. We know that. But not every cop's bad either. And I have my reasons for supporting them. I don't go over them every video, would be here all day, but I do. And you do you, boo. Listen, finally, if you are an addict, and I am, never quit quitting. Well, JR, again, man, home run. I'm Scab. You're not. Guys, check out Smith & Son.